see. Oh, we're recording now. I've already introduced myself. I was a little jumped the gun. I was so excited. Hi, I'm Daphne Stevens, and I'm going to be painting leaves for y'all today. I'm going to be doing some traditional leaves, different leaves. We're going to see what we can fit in. Oh, I don't know why. The phone's reset, Suzanne. Oh, no, oh, sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all. I turned my phone off and I don't know why it came back on. Um, okay, I will switch to the overhead. Sorry about that distraction. Let's go overhead. And I'm doing a class. Bye. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. Here we go. All right. We can start with actually your rose leaves are pretty much your basic foundation for all of your leaves. And I am gonna show y'all how I approach that. You can use an open medium or a closed medium. Let me up the camera just a little touch. Okay. I did mention that y'all could do when you're painting leaves and learning how to paint anything, monochrome is really nice to just use one color. But I'm going to show y'all how I get quite a bit done doing a wet in the wet technique, and you can modify it. Another method to painting leaves, I did teach my students, I put different colors and fired them in and then went back over and painted the leaves. So that's kind of a fun project to do or approach. So let's start with some rose leaves. And I just have all my colors, light, medium, and dark value. I am gonna go into some light green, and I am gonna side load, shade load with some dark. And I'm gonna make two C shapes side by side. And when you're choking the brush, you're going to be laying in more paint. And as you back off the brush, you're smoothing. So you're going to be doing either one or the other. I really apologize for that interruption. I turned my phone off and I don't know, I guess it had a mind of its own. Um, you would know. And I texted everybody I know, especially my family, don't call me. I am going to be teaching a class. Okay, so we have two C shapes side by side. That's the back of the leaf. Then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do a little S curve here. Like a little S shape. And I do like to take my wipeout tool and kind of shape that. This pretty much gets your leaf in almost in one fire. Then I'm going to take some dark side load and I'm going to come up on the chisel edge of my brush and do the vein. And some little veins, just like two on one side and on the other. And I can define that a little bit, like pull like a little highlight. That's really, you really need to get your brush nice and chiseled to get well conditioned to get that shape. Okay, so you have your rose leaf. You can do these in like a yellow brown. Let's do that in like if you have a warm palette, like a warm composition. I kind of gravitate more towards cool colors most of the time, but I think you need cool, warm colors. um, in the same composition. Your distance is going to be cooler, and then as you come forward, a little bit warmer colors. Balance and harmony, but that's a whole other class. So anyway, that's a rose leaf. Now, the other thing I want to bring to your attention too is when you're painting roses, I like to observe, I like to take a lot of pictures. Your rose leaves are not going to be like pickles around sticking out around the flower. They do have the leaf on the end of a rose leaf is longer, and then they come across. Sometimes they have groups of 3 or 5. If you're painting a bigger subject, the leaves in the back kind of come and they kind of grow this way. But just a note for that, again, observation. Also, okay, let me see. Let's try another leaf. We can go into, these are really fun. Pine needles. Um, they're really, really easy and they're kind of fun to do. Well, the way I think I do them are kind of fun. I'm going to get into a little bit of brown, a little bit of green. Again, all this is observation, pictures, looking at nature, just observing the different textures of leaves. Putting the right leaves with the right flowers are important too. Okay, and all I do is come out. I mean, you could even just paint in some different shades of green for your pine needles. I know this looks crazy, but you can either put them in one at a time this way, but I like to get a lot of action going here. Some movement. That's one way. And then on your next painting, you can come in and shade a wash of color on there. Of course, it'd be a little bit more refined, or you can put them in positive. You could do an underpainting of like a chartreuse or light green underneath there, fire it, and then come back with your dark color and do a wash. There's just so many different ways. These, I think I just got up on my chisel edge and of my brush and just kind of put those in. It gives you a lot of depth for one painting. And I don't know if you can see it in here. If you really observe some pictures of pine needles, they really have a really rough texture along the stem that you can just kind of hit with your wipeout tool. Okay, I'll kind of wipe that, clean that up a little bit. We're not going to fire this. And I'm going to try to keep an eye on my time because I want to save the last 10 minutes for a stamp method of leaves. That's really fast. It's a great class to do for beginners because you can get pretty much a project done in one day, instant gratification. And I find that when you're trying to get beginners going, you need to do some projects that are fast and they want something done almost one fire. It's really it's challenging to do that in porcelain. Okay, let's do um an iris leaf. And I'm going to do that shaded load where I go into the lighter color and side load with a darker color. It's going to go in some green. You could do another color. And also, if my iris are is has some pinks in it, I will go in and repeat that color. This actually has like a little bit of pink and purple in it. If you have time, I'll show you an example of that. And I'm going to pull that up from the bottom of the plate. This is the outer edge of the leaf. And I'm going to pull it and kind of twist my brush up on the point. Of course, you can refine that. And then I'm going to come back down on the other side to get that dark shading on that side. And it's kind of like an angle shape here. And Q-tips are your best friend, or your wipeout too. If you do, or the wipeout too, you can get too much of a raised edge. And get a pointed Q-tip. Works a little bit better. Tell you that class I took with Mary Gaza, she went through some Q-tips, and I learned so many cool texturing techniques in that class. She and now I was like, didn't know I needed so many Q-tips to do so many different things. They do have like a little it's not a wipeout too, but it's really hard to find. It is almost it's like a material. I think they on Amazon they have them. I don't know what they're called. They were, I think, more for acrylic painter, but they're kind of neat. So I'm gonna come back over this. I'm gonna be putting this leaf and flip it like a bend leaf. You don't want all your leaves all sticking out. You want some movement, you want contrast, you want a resting area. So all that. I know I can't help myself as a teacher to not just do the subject. Is how you incorporate it into your composition. That's just as important. So much to learn, especially when you're um, getting started. Just making something look like something for beginners, awesome. But then you have to learn where to put those things. And I am just demoing my technique and how I load my brush. Of course, when we have more time, you spend time smoothing and refining and all that. Um, I can use that straight edge here. If you want a sharper edge, just be careful when you're firing. You don't want a big built up edge of paint. Okay. All right, let's now your wisteria leaves are basically same principle as your rose leaves. You're just going to kind of elongate them. So it's kind of a combination between here and here. Again, you could, if you have trouble double loading, you could underpaint all these leaves in chartreuse or mixing yellow or a light color, block them in. And in a seminar, sometimes we do that because we're so focused on the flower and getting that refined. I just get my students to put in a solid light tone. And then after it's fired, come back and shade. But when you get a little bit more advanced and practice, I think it's a good idea to get more wet into wet. You don't want to get it too heavy because you know the paint will pop up. But you'd be surprised if you're putting layers of paint, you can put a lot of paint on, putting a layer and then building up more and more. Rather than putting it too thick, you typically won't have chipping. So we all have to be aware of that. Also, hard porcelain pieces tend to chip a little bit more. And I learned a trick. I'm gonna pass that on. When you're painting with black, sometimes you get chipping no matter how thin you put it on. If you add a little bit of non-ping to your paint, your black, I haven't had any chipping with black paint. So that is one of the best things I found that works. Okay, let's do some wisteria leaves. And the wisteria, they really grow groups, a lot of groups. I mean, they're not like 3 and 5. They're do have the long leaf, and they do come across from each other. Took a little bit of artistic license here because of the spacing. I think I may have, I'll show y'all some examples later. Okay, let's get in, just establish my line. And when I'm teaching wisteria, I start with the longest leaf first, because then I can layer the leaves on top of them, because it's nice if you have some overlapping here, gives your painting more dimension. So I'm gonna go into my lighter color and side load. Spend some time in your loading zone. Also, when your palette doesn't have to be super neat, but because it gets messy when you paint. But if you take the time to flip your paints over and have like a little loading zone like this, you don't want to be dipping into your other paints, all of the pile of paint, because you want it as you build up the color. I do several strokes. It's getting loaded, so it's starting to walk that paint up the shaft of your brush, rather than having a big pile of paint and then putting it on smoothing. Then you risk chipping. I wish I knew all those little tips years ago. Had to kind of learn them here and there from all those wonderful teachers over the years. Okay, I am going to take a long stroke similar to the iris leaf and come in this way. It's a long leaf. See, and I'm kind of like angling my brush here. There we go. And then I'm going to load my brush again and get that middle. Also, when you're doing leaves, I was taught that you don't split the leaf in half. Now, if you look at leaves in nature and all, they do the line, the veins. That's the word I'm looking for. The veins do come all the way, but you shouldn't put the vein more than 3/4 of the way. One of those art principles. Okay, I'm gonna come back down. I'm flipping my blade around, and I'm gonna get that other side of that leaf. And this does not have to be super smooth. I kind of like those color variation. And if you want to smooth 2 hairs and some air, I'm actually trying to, I don't know if you can see it, kind of going this way. It has a little texture. Leaves have texture, but they do have a little bit more of the vein here in the wisteria leaves. Okay. Now, I will put some more here. But I want to demo as many leaves as I can. So I'm just going to do this really, really fast. I cannot believe my phone rang. I am so sorry, y'all. That was amazing. I mean, I told Suzanne, I said, I'm turning my phone off. I even told Alexa to remind me to turn my phone back on. Well, I don't know how that happened. But anyway, I apologize. And we can't unrecord it, so well, stuff happens. Stuff happens. Get a little Q-tip. Oh, and like I said, you can build up all those leaves. I have some finished pieces. I'll try to do the show and tell. Let's see, we're good on time. We're still doing good. I have time to show y'all. I think that ginkgo leaves are fascinating. And you can also load your brush, and it's a similar technique to let me see, Jewel, what was it? Geranium leaves. Let me show y'all that. Grab finished piece. These are very similar also to water lilies, I find, except the edges of the geranium leaf are very roughly. These, if I was teaching how to paint these, honestly, I would probably get the students to paint them, block them all in a chartreuse or light green first, and then go back and shade with the dark here. And again, just like a lily pad, they water lily, I think, they have almost, except for the roughly edges, they have almost exactly the same shape leaf. It's just amazing when you start observing different leaves. I'm gonna grab this, take a little breather. This is wisteria. See how the wisteria comes down from a branch? And the branches are I would probably paint them in similar to grape leaves, but the angle. This is kind of a fun technique also to incorporate. I did gold metallic and then pen work over it, so it kind of changes it up a little bit, give you a different look. This is I'm not going to paint these, but I'm going to explain how they're painted. They're chrysanthemum leaves. And again, we start out with the same technique with the two, a bigger brush, obviously. And this is the underpainting of a chrysanthemum leaf. The only thing that's different is they have these serrated edges. So this is and also they have different, the way they fold. I took a lot of pictures. So this was a good sample to show my students, to not have every leaf looking the same, have some folded. So all those type things make your painting so much more interesting. And also the same technique for the serrated edge. Well, I'll show y'all a holly leaf, but this is great to have an underpainting here, and then you'll come back and shade. But when you come back in, you would be bringing out those serrations too. And this was just wiped out with the flat edge of your wipeout tool. And holly leaf, I'll do a holly leaf. So it's all brush technique, brush strokes, wiping out, um, just observing different shapes of leaves and things that carries over to other subjects, not just leaves. So believe it or not, when you start out the holly leaves, you almost start out just like the rose leaves, and then you start carving out those shapes. So let's do a holly leaf. And I am trying to pay attention also on time, because I definitely want to show you that fun stamping technique. Anybody can do that. You don't have to be a painter, and it'd be a fun project. If you have some of your friends that just want to have a one-day painting party, and that would be, and I did end up doing a whole set. I'll show y'all that in a minute. Okay, so let's start. Well, actually, it's backwards. I take that back. It is more this way, not a leaf. You could start it off like a rose leaf and carve it out. But I'm going to do shaded leaf. So many leaves. I'm trying to get it all in an hour. There we go. There's your stem. The word I couldn't find a while ago. But y'all do realize we're using both sides of our brain when we paint. creative side and the analytical side. So you're trying to talk and paint. It's two different actions. And good thing I had coffee this morning. So hopefully both sides are working. Then when I can't remember a word, I say this. I'm like a computer. I'm buffering. Buffering? I didn't forget. It's just got so much information up in my brain. It's buffering. It's buffering. Okay, so there. And then you're going to take the flat edge. Is how you use this wipeout tool. You're going to kind of scoop out like some little C's. Okay? Barbara Jensen, I remember doing a workshop. You should put your little hook ends. Of course, you got a little bit too much paint here, but those are fun. My mother-in-law had the biggest, I don't know if it was a holly tree. I'm telling you, it was like overhead. It had shade. So it was just amazing how big that thing got over the years. Again, that could be underpainted. You can use a Q-tip or wipeout tool. Just be careful the buildup on any of your painting, not to get too big of a buildup. Okay, get the ginkgo leaves. We're doing good on time. Let's see. I'm watching the time here. Oh yeah, we have plenty of time. I want to get them all in if I can. Okay. So instead of going into my chartreuse, I am going to get a little bit of yellow and yellow brown. Now this leaf takes some practice. It would be, unless you're used to painting wet and wet and shading, doing a shaded load, it would be to your advantage to have it underpainted first. But I'm gonna do it the more advanced ways. It's being recorded. So guess what? You can play it over, you can pause and get that technique down. That's the beauty of recording. I love watching YouTube videos. I think that's like a hobby of mine. I'll watch so many different tutorials, not just in porcelain. I also like to paint in acrylic and digital painting. And it's just watching different artists paint different subjects. Just always trying to learn something new. And not necessarily copying what they do. It's amazing. You watch one tutorial and then you'll have a totally different, go in a totally different directions. Okay, I said I was going to go into the yellow. It doesn't matter, but what I said and what I did. Do what I do, not what I say. Yes. Okay, it's time to flip this paint over a little bit. Get my loading zone. Get that shaded load. A little bit yellow. So I have yellow and green. Okay, so it's actually shaded darker, lighter. And then I have, oh, it must have been another subject I had a little bit dark. Okay, so it's an unusual shape. Just go on Pinterest or Google ginkgo leaves. They're really, really neat looking. So let me give them a little stem going here, just on the chisel edge of my brush. So I'm going to keep my base of my brush here, and I'm going to kind of go up and down and wiggle it. And I'm getting some texture in there. I am not going to smooth that out because I really want those lines in there. And some of the ginkgo leaves, they're like two-sided, almost like I wouldn't say two-sided shamrock, but they kind of look a little bit like a textured shamrock, and some of them do. Okay, so see how I'm kind of wiggling that in there? There we go. Let me get a little bit more here. You can shape it out with a Q-tip or whatever. Now, here's the tricky part. I'm going to flip it around because I want dark, light, and dark. Again, this is wet and wet. You can have everything painted, underpainted, but I like to get about 95% of my work done one fire, and then the rest is details. But that's just me. I'm putting more pressure on this end. Okay. And then you can refine it here. Now that's just, I actually painted this from photographs. Some of them, they're more, actually most of the ginkgo leaves are more rounded like this. Just look them up. I'm not going to paint all of them. And then kind of come in this way. Well, that's an interesting leaf. Okay, I think we'll have time to do, never have time to do that. Grape leaf. Okay, grape leaf. Stephen Hayes showed me how to start this. It's actually, he did it more like if you scrunched rose leaves together. So I'm gonna follow his lead and I will show y'all a finished piece. So, and then you can do it different colors. Some of them, trying to think, it was Carrie and Payne taught at our Louisiana teachers, and she had the most beautiful photographs. I mean, she had posters on the wall of grapes and that she took grapes in the vineyard in California. Oh, that was so beautiful. Then when my husband and I went, I guess it wasn't fall. I don't know what season it was, but whatever season it was, they were all green. Her photos were amazing. This is just kind of a rough draft here. I know this is all green. Let me throw some red in there. I should have practiced this. I haven't done a grape leaf in a long time, but I'll show y'all some when finished. Just gonna go into the red and kind of an orange. I know it's just giving you a visual without having to trace. There's nothing wrong with tracing. It's just to start to learn the shape of something, but I'm trying to teach, both ways, with the tracing and without. So you can get some learning the shape of things, but that just takes time. Okay, I'm gonna put a little yellow in the center. I know this didn't look like anything, but when you start carving it out, it comes together. So grape leaves was like a little keyhole here. And then they kind of come out. My mom has some muscadine vines. The muscadine grapes also, that's what we have in our area. We don't have grapes growing in Louisiana, Texas. Anyway, then I'm going to come back out, kind of make an interesting edge. This is also, I think, oak leaf. An oak leaf would be kind of pretty much this shape too, a little bit more pointed, but a grape leaf. Get that vein in. And it has two veins coming back here, here, and here. So this is, again, a rough draft of a grape leaf. And then you can have fun with it and carve out those outer edges. You can fold one edge over. Just look at some pictures. I don't know, have a leaf day. Just painting leaves. don't have to paint a whole picture. Just practice leaves. Again, I'm getting a lot of color in here. I like to paint wet in the wet. As long as it's not too thick, we're fine. It's not going to pop off or anything. And I have some samples too of some finished leaves. Now wipe that out and come in with your vein. You don't even have to put those in, but I like to get as much done. Practice wet in the wet. Getting as much in as you can. I'm not mixing a whole lot, so I'm not making mud. And I'm going to show y'all. Where did I put those? Okay. Some really pretty. Oh, well, I think it's one of my prettiest. Look at these leaves. Got all these warm tones in. And then I repeated the color also. And okay, it's focusing here. Then you have another little hole here. I mean, makes them interesting. Have fold it over. I don't know why it's not focusing. Is that Suzanne's not on? I hope it's focusing for y'all. Here's another one with orange and yellow and even like little shades of blue. So that's just have fun with that. I mean, I really played a long time with these leaves. And then you have the like a folded grape leaf and then a side view. So when you're doing a composition, you want some different angles. You don't want them all looking the same. Again, study a lot of photographs. Yeah, I think I demoed that and I think I have just enough time. Yep, we're doing good. We can start the stamping technique. And that's totally different. So what is stamping technique? I did a whole set of dishes and I am not a person that gravitates towards warm colors, but in the fall and for Thanksgiving, I absolutely love my set of orange dishes. And one of these, I'm gonna just bought these literally at the Dollar Tree. I'm not, like I said, I do not gravitate towards warm colors, but I did this set. I mean, in hardly no time because, and then I will show you the stamping technique and then fired it. And then I came back and washed metallic colors on top. And I did the set over a couple days. I mean, we're talking 8-piece place setting. Now this one was a little bit more involved, and this is kind of a sentimental dish because I got the leaves out of my mother-in-law's yard and she passed away. And I have a remembrance. I will never sell this. And she had the coolest leaves in her yard. So if you doing this, I just got some leaves out of my yard. This is not too much. Oh, I need to plant basil. This is a shamrock leaf. This is a weed. My neighbor offered to bring some basil leaves. Basil leaves do beautiful. So I'm gonna wipe this off. Since y'all have it recorded. We're good. And I am just gonna mix. I find that a drying medium works the best. I am gonna put on a glove because I just did my nails and I don't want to have to do them again. And I am gonna mix some of my armadillo oil and dry paint to do the stamping. You can do copaiba oil or fat oil or some. It's better with the drying medium, but I think MX54 probably dries pretty fast too. It's not as fast as the armadillo oil, but you want something to kind of set up. And I am gonna do a stamp. We're not gonna be able to do the metallic. So I'm just gonna mix up a little bit of this. And Suzanne, if you need to jump in and give me kind of a, hey, we're running out of time because I'll keep going. I did use on some of these places, I think this was a dark green, like your darkest green and maybe even black for the stamping. On the orange bows, some of them I used dark brown and black. Some of them I actually tried a dark violet of iron. Any dark color works because you want that contrast. So I'm just going to take some brown. And it's going to be super juicy because it dries. I'm going to put a little bit of brown, a little bit of black here. Make sure y'all can see it. And you're going to mix this to the consistency of pin oil, like it's going to be dripping off, but it's not going to bleed in your kiln when you fire it because it dries. Again, I'm not going to get thick. I do like to use a synthetic brush. It's this oil's not going to hurt your regular brushes, but it is a little harder to clean out. You can wipe it out immediately, clean it with some odorless turp. I can't use odorless mineral spirits, sorry. I personally have issues with some turp. It does give me a little bit of a headache, but if you can use turp to clean your brush, you can use orange glow oil. That works. Okay, so again, I could actually, yep, that's real drippy. And this is not one of those perfect sciences. Some leaves stamp better than others, but if they're real thin and flexible and they have the veins, they work better. And we're going to keep my fingers crossed. That gives a good stamp. You can get a sponge and do that. I find that it's not going to come out perfect. Sometimes it does, but I'm going to show you how to refine that. But this is just a fun technique. Somebody can't paint yet. Okay. Okay, keep your fingers crossed, y'all. It's adjustable. So, I mean, if it doesn't come out good, you can play with it. Okay. That didn't come out beautiful, but that's okay because, and I find it comes out better on like a colored plate. If you didn't want to buy the plate, the ceramic ware with the color, you could do this over a lustered plate, but you just do need contrast. So basically, if I did not get the shape I wanted on these leaves, I went back and wiped out with Q-tip. I did a my wipeout tool. Some of them, if they came out too much color, I came in here and refined it. But it didn't fuss too much. I think on some of them, oh, making a mess here. I may have did pen work on the outer edges, but once you use your wipeout tool, that kind of makes your edge. Okay. Give me an hour, I'll tear everything up. Let's do one with a shamrock. And I'm trying to think, I think I covered everything. I think I covered most of the leaves. But that's basically what I did. And because this dried, I was able to do that whole bowl and the edge of a plate all at one setting. And then after it was fired, I mixed up some metallic with the armadillo oil, and it dries. So actually, once this dries, you can carve out or do like a scratch technique and refine it. But it just kind of all fell into place. And it was just, I pull this set out every year, and I really enjoy it. Only time of the year I enjoy orange. Okay, we're going to do one more. This is I think it's a purple shamrock. But just the leaves that, the fatter leaves do not work. This was literally some weeds. But something thin, lots of veins. Like I said, one of my favorite was basil. Okay, let's see what this does. Oh, that's fun. Let me see if I have enough paint to do another one. Yep. And of course, you're going to refine this. It's messy at first, but I've got gloves on, so no big deal. Just a kind of fun project to get, not just kids. I cannot wait to get my granddaughter is 2 years old today. So I cannot wait to get her into the kitchen and then painting and all kind of, yeah, we're going to get our hands dirty. I'm not sure if alcohol will have any effect on it. Let me see. Drip. I don't know if it drips. I don't think it does. If you have a drying medium, sometimes it doesn't want to separate, but just different things you can play with. Let me see if the odorless mineral spirits. Sometimes I'll drip and get some spots in there. I don't know if it'll move. I think it moves better with an open medium. Like I said, just play with it. Have some fun. Few tips. Again, that's messy, but just look at the finished. We've got all these leaves. And again, I just came back and this one actually lined some of these with gold metallic. And on the other ones I had, let me see, red metallic. Yes, ruby metallic and gold. I don't know if I put any silver on there. Got a whole thing of metallics. Let me see. How are we doing on time, Suzanne? I think she's
Doing
muted.
great.
Oh, we're doing 10 more minutes. Let me see what else I can show y'all. I got 10 minutes. I'm gonna make sure these, well, poinsettia, I'm gonna be teaching that in I think October or November. And this I will mix the same way I mix for the stamping. You can use MX54 if you don't have armadillo oil. Either one, I've mixed them very, very juicy and painted them in. I did, I don't know how, a set of bowls. I got these are actually blue, Dollar Tree. And I did a set of coffee cups and soup bowls. And I used them. And you can put metallic paints in the microwave. And I've had a set of with sea animals painted for 3 or 4 years now. They look as bright as the day I painted them. And I have a few more examples to show y'all. Leaves, 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 everywhere leaves. These are some trumpet vine leaves. Again, I've washed some of the orange onto the leaves if I'm painting roses, and I'll wash a little bit of the color of the rose, like a ruby rose, just a little bit on the either on the vein or wash. Repeat that color. It's really nice. Now these are these were fun. So these were luster, and these leaves as a green gold leaves. They're not lustered. They're just painted in kind of like the wisteria I showed y'all earlier and fired. Um, I think if you use a water-based liner, you can do it all at one time, or you can do it. I don't remember. I painted this in 2015. I have slept since then. I don't remember if I did that in one fire on the leaves. Now, the luster, yes, that was definitely two fires with the brush, just did like a brush metallic on it, just kind of a hint. And this was, again, some of that painting leaves and metallics and going back over it. It'd probably be better if you did it in two fires. Once they're fired in, if you make a mistake, you can wipe it off and adjust it. Because sometimes your pen work, it sets up depending on the humidity and everything. It doesn't want to flow right or it blobs or whatever. And then you've got the wet in the wet situation. So that may be a better plan to do it two steps. Do I have any other leaves? Okay, one more, and I think I'm all out. I'm all out. Um, this is an iris leaf. So again, I have different colors in there, different washes. I did do a little bit of purple. I don't think it's going to pick up on the camera, but whatever color I paint on the flower, I do like to wash that onto the leaves. So, well, Suzanne, I think I've run. Oops, I didn't break it. I have run out of leaves for today anyway.
Well, you've done a magnificent presentation, and we have enjoyed every minute of it. And
Again, I apologize for that phone call.
so, no, and I'm thrilled about you moving to Dallas because you need to make the International Porcelain Artists and Teachers Carriage House part of your place as a resident artist from time to time.
I already tracked, I think it's an hour and 40 minutes from where we're moving. So
Yeah,
that's not far at all.
good.
I'm looking forward to being in that area, but it'll be about a year. It'll be
Yep.
about a year, but it's gonna pass. It's pretty fast.
It goes by very quickly. Well, thank you very much. And we know many members will enjoy viewing this on our iPad YouTube channel. And again, thank
Great.
you so much for your time, and it was most informative.
Oh, it was fun. I enjoyed it. So see you later.